Hi, I'm in my basement and I'm going to talk about Aciman's book called Find Me, the supposed sequel for his first book, Call Me By Your Name, which has a film adaptation. First of all, saying this as it is, the book was technically a sequel because it involved Elio and Oliver's character, which is the main protagonist and antagonist. Well, protagonist. Antagonist? The main protagonist of the first book called Call Me By Your Name. Now, unfortunately, in Find Me, it took a long time to get to their final reunion. And seeing as the first book did really well, everyone wanted to get to that reunion immediately. And seeing as that isn't exactly what happened with the book Find Me, a lot of people were kind of disappointed with how it turned out. I have a concern to raise about the entire thing. Basically, as a standalone, Find Me is a very beautiful novel. And I say that as a writer, I really would have been loved it if I was the one who wrote it. Like, it's a dream book for me to write. He does it in a way that he incorporates literature, books, music, art into his works. And so it's like this inception of, literature pieces and art into another literature piece and art. He is very good at what he does. For me, personally, Find Me is a very special book, and when I hear people talk about how it did not give justice to Call Me By Your Name, I think of two things. One is that it's not supposed to, and two, Aciman is actually a writer of his own for not sticking to the fan service, or for not sticking to what his readers would have wanted to read from him in the second book. I mean, of course, as a writer, you would want to give the readers what they want, but also sticking to your own material and sticking to what you believe in as a writer. I think he wrote for himself when he did Find Me. I think Call Me By Your Name was sort of his storytelling book, and then Find Me was his way of writing for himself and completing that story in his mind that involves all of the characters in Call Me By Your Name, and not just, the protagonists, Elio and Oliver, which I think is very special. Aciman's writing style, I think, is making sure that you get the juice of his writing and take it a little more like you're treasuring it. And so when there's something special that's going on, he builds a lot of these sequence for you to lead up to it. And when you get it, it's like this it feels so good. It's almost like a treasure that you've gained, because he knows how to do that as a writer, and he does it beautifully, because he's not a boring writer. Like, you could tell that he has pictures in mind. But I think people were really looking forward to Elio and Oliver's meeting a little too eagerly, that they were forgetting Find Me was a book of its own that I think was what Aciman feared the most. If you're a writer and you love art and you love literature, and personally as a communication student who loves to read, who loves all kinds of art, I think this was a very special one, because Aciman really knows how to incorporate different kind of art forms into his writing, and you can feel his emotions seeping through every word, which I think is a characteristic of a very special writer, and you can never go wrong with it. You can go ahead and watch it for yourself.
Find Me is a beautiful book. I think when you go into it, you have to read it as a standalone so you can experience the book as Aciman intended it to be. It's different. You have a lot of things to think about, though. I think a review said once that since it's made into different parts and the characters are aged differently with radical different life experience, that it feels more honest and true to life, because you get to see the different stages of pain and struggles in life as it unfolds. And Find Me showed it perfectly. I personally love it. Aciman deserved to do an ending for a story the way he wanted it to be. and he got to do it and find me really well.
I personally think that Find Me is a hit or miss, and it was definitely a hit for me. And to each their own, but I think Find Me is a very special book regardless. And Aciman is an amazing writer for writing Find Me the way he did, and for writing Call Me By Your Name the way he did. So yeah,